Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. We are back once again to do a predictions video. This time we are working on Saturday night's main event, set to take place this Saturday, December 13th, in Washington, D.C. Very much the moniker around this PLE or Saturday night main event, I guess I should say. We don't consider it a PLE, but it is John Cena's last match, so obviously a very important one. Just per usual, we'll get into every single match and we will discuss our predictions and let you know kind of what we're thinking. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first match of the evening, which has the NXT champion just as of last week at Deadline, the ruler Elba Femi going up against the WWE Undisputed Champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Of course, this isn't for a title. In fact, I think it makes it a lot more interesting on my end, at least. Because if it were, I think we would all pretty safely assume that it wasn't going to see Cody losing his belt at Saturday Night Main Event of all places, but especially to an NXT talent. So, with no title on the line, I think we have a lot more possibilities on the table. KP, where is your head at on this one? Kind of what are you thinking here in terms of outcome, and what are you expecting to see from this match?
I think the first curveball was Ricky Saints no longer being the NXT champion. I think naturally when this match was made apparent last week on SmackDown, I was thinking, oh well, it makes so much sense for Ricky Saints to win this contest, and he would go up against somebody who he knows very well in Cody Rhodes. So I thought that sort of like had the history there and it made a lot more sense. But we do have Femi, back in ruling once again. And I'm kind of salivating at the chance to see in this match because it does look really good on paper. So I'm excited for it. As to who I think is going to win and how this match generally is going to go, I'm quite interested to see the dynamic because I think it could be quite a fun matchup. Obviously, you'd expect probably Cody Rhodes to dismantle the NXT champion, but this is Femi we're talking about, and obviously he's a much larger than life athlete, so he's not your average Joe of NXT. And I think when it comes to this one, they're going to make Femi look really good, and I think in order to do that, they have to have him, be a big presence in the contest. I think what could happen here, and feel free to disagree with me, but I actually think Obafemi will win this match, and there's a good reason for it. So I think that Drew McIntyre, who clearly is still a target of Cody Rhodes and is still targeting Cody himself, I feel like they're still going to be uh, in quite sort of a vicious sort of way towards each other, still going into this contest, despite obviously Cody having other things and other agendas. So I think Drew, just to sort of like make his presence known, will probably cost Cody Rhodes and actually will allow Obafemi to get the victory here. So I'm going to be quite bold and say that's how I'm going to play this one. I reckon Obafemi will win courtesy of a Drew McIntyre distraction, interference, whatever you want to call it. And that'll be enough for Oba to get the win and solidifies himself as an absolute star by having a pinfall victory over Cody Rhodes. So I like that's possibly wishful thinking as well. I would not be surprised in any sort of realm of existence for Cody Rhodes to get the victory here. That is the absolute, expected outcome here. But because you said it's not for a title, it does allow that sort of creativity to come on down, and you can have Cody take a loss, possibly, without obviously losing his championship. So, I'm going to go with that. What do you think, Nick? Are you sort of dreaming big like I am, or are you just going with the nice simple Cody gets the win option?
Well, everything that you kind of painted, it does make sense. Drew, obviously, the last time we saw him, he was attacked by Cody in his truck. So clearly, probably seeking revenge, and at a Saturday Night Main Event, would seem like the right kind of place to give you a less than ideal finish. If it did end in interference or something, that could obviously be a possibility as well. I love the idea of Oba Femi winning here, but yeah, I just don't know if I can pull the trigger. I think even if Oba gets in, 50% of the offense, or even better, 60 or 70%, and Cody just kind of has to eke out a win, even with the Drew McIntyre assistance. I think anything here that Oba can get in will make him look good. Obviously, American Nightmare Cody Rhodes is the top guy currently in WWE. So any kind of ground he can make up for, I think, will only make him look better in the long run. So with that, I think I am going to go on the safe side, though. I do think Cody Rhodes finds a way to win here, but I think Oba truly has a chance to shine here and prove that he is main event worthy, as we've been kind of shouting from the mountaintops mountaintops for months now. So yeah, looking forward to this one though. It should be a good contest. With that, let's go ahead and get into the next match of the night, which has the number one contender now to Obafemi's NXT Championship. Also, as of deadline, Javon Evans and TNA's X Division Champion Leon Slater. We've seen these guys tag together a few times now, and it is nothing short but impressive every single time they do it. They're going up against WWE World Tag Team Champions and that of AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. Clearly, this has potential on its face to be an all-time classic, but not a weak link in this match, in my opinion. KP, any idea how this one will come out, or what are you thinking we'll see here?
Honestly, this could be a contender for match of the night, and I don't really think that's a sort of like a crazy claim to make here. There's so much quality in this match, like you've already referred to. You've got the young, just absolute careless, high flying energy of Javon and Leon. They're going to bring so much fun to the matchup. You got the veteran instincts of AJ Styles, absolute legend of the business, and then Dragon Lee, who just offers a similar style to that of Javon and Leon. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this one. So as to how I think this one's going to go down, despite it obviously being a very entertaining matchup, I do think that the right decision here is to have AJ Styles and Dragon Lee win, purely for the fact that they haven't been tag team champions for very long. I know this isn't a title match, but I feel like them taking a loss to Javon Evans and Leon Slater probably doesn't do them that many favors. So yeah, considering there's probably going to be nothing else happening in this one, I can't see any interference taking place or anything like that. So yeah, I think Styles and Lee winning does make the most sense in this one, but I think I'm just really hoping for just a really solid, entertaining, crazy match, which I think it probably will be. So yeah, as long as we get that one, I don't really mind the result. I'm happy with either team getting the win here. But I think if I had to pick one of the two teams, logically, I think Styles and Lee makes most sense for me personally. So that's where my head's leaning at the moment for sure. What about you, though? Do you have a case to make that Javon Evans and Leon Slater should get the victory here and actually should win this matchup? Or are you thinking on the same side of me and, Styles and Lee is the probably obvious choice and probably is the correct choice?
Yeah, you could argue in terms of history that, in matches, there isn't that big of a gap. Obviously, Leon and Javon have tagged together a few times. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee haven't been together that long, so there really isn't like a huge kind of gap there. But in terms of, I think, winning, I think similar to the first match that you alluded to, the possibility of some interference. I think this could be another one. Obviously, we saw a very big segment on Monday with the men's tag division on Raw, which has always been. A little on the weak side. We saw some new kind of contenders rise, so could potentially see some interference for this one too. But I'm hoping not. I'm hoping, as we kind of both said here, I think just the potential of these four to just let them, kind of go balls to the wall for 15 minutes could be a ton of fun. But I do think maybe Javon and Leon maybe quite aren't quite on the same page, and that could potentially cost them the match, and then AJ Styles and Dragon Lee get the win here to further solidify their kind of reign, as you kind of were alluding to, and then with the the jump start that we got on Brawl and that what seemingly always kind of weak division, I think that will kind of help boost there as well. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the next match, which has NXT's own Sol Ruca going up against Bayley. If there's a woman version of Cena, seems appropriate to bring it up here. Loves to give back to the business, very selfless individual. Bayley is that person, in my opinion, taking on arguably the hottest prospect on the women's side currently down in NXT. This one has a lot of potential. I think both of us, I assume both of us, looking forward to this. Obviously, we hold Bayley in high regards, but we also hold Sol Ruca in quite high regards as well. KP, what are your thoughts on this one?
You make a good point. Bayley definitely is the kind of person that I think would probably look ahead to the future and would make a very good case for Sol Ruca getting the victory here over herself. Do I think that's going to happen, though? The more I think about it, I think it's definitely a possibility, but I think deep down, I don't think that is going to take place. I think that Bayley will win this match. I think that Sol Ruca has an interesting thing going on at the moment, especially with Zarya. And as we saw on NXT last night, Sol Ruca asking Zarya to be in her corner for this matchup, and Zarya seeming surprised by that. I just think there's something that's going to take place at this event. Not necessarily whether, it's going to be a deliberate action or anything, but I think it could be that Zarya maybe accidentally cost Sol Ruca the match or something, and then we see Sol just continuing to go down this sort of like spiral that she's been going down recently, just sort of like yeah, maybe seeing that next little step in this story that's ever developing between the two ladies. So I think in that sense, because of what's going to be coming on from that, I think it does make more sense for Bayley to win this matchup, and especially coming from Zarya messing things up by accident. So that seems to be logical for me personally. But I think you make a good point. I could see Sol winning this matchup because Bayley requesting that it's a case of like wanting Sol to get a victory and to elevate her status, because she is a great talent, Soruka, one to watch for the future for sure, and is obviously one to watch now in the present as well. She's absolutely quality. So yeah, I think this one will be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for it. And generally speaking, I'm going to stick with Bayley to win. Because of like reasons I said a moment ago. So yeah, that's where my head's at. But what about you? I know you are sort of leaning towards perhaps that Sol Ruca victory because of Bayley, wanting that to be the case. But what do you really think deep down?
Yeah, and similar to the Femi Cody match, I think even if Soul does kind of hold her own here, I think it does wonders for her. You could definitely make the argument that Bailey isn't nearly as well booked as Cody, obviously, but still Bailey is a very respected woman in the business. So for what that's worth, I think Soul could find herself shining here when the spotlight is on. Yeah, the Zarya bit, obviously elephant in the room. It feels like we've been doing this for so long with them too. And I don't know that WWE ever knew, NXT specifically ever knew what they were going to do or how they were going to unveil that. But it's been a bit of an awkward kind of sludge for a bit with them. Um, and between the two of us, we've mentioned potential interference in all three matches so far. So hopefully we don't get that. We don't want a interference ridden Saturday night main event. Obviously, would not make for a great reactions video between the two of us. Myself especially. You don't want to listen to me rant about interference and that kind of thing. So um, yeah, I think if you were to force me to make a decision, I do think Bailey will win, even if Zari doesn't, cost her the match, for per se. I think she probably will come around, and I just hope Sol Ruca has a good showing before that happens if they are going to go with that decision. But I wouldn't be mad at either woman winning here. So, but I think Bailey is probably the most likely outcome. With that, let's get into the main event of Saturday Night Main Events, the John Cena's final match. The time is now the last ever John Cena match where he will face the winner of the Last Time Is Now tournament. Of course, the Ring General, Gunther. A lot of the IWC obviously wanted this to be LA Knight, not me. I love this decision, as I believe this has Gunther has a lot more to gain from this kind of long term. A couple questions for you, KP. Who wins this match? And do you truly believe this will be Cena's last match? It's obviously wrestling, anything can happen, but curious to get where your head's at on this one.
Okay, let's go with chronological questions. So first and foremost, I think that Gunther will win. I don't think there's really any hesitation in my mind that that's going to happen. As to how that's going to go, I'm expecting a real heavyweight clash here between the two men. I think it's going to be a pretty decently length matchup. I think Cena will ideally want to make Gunther look absolutely fantastic in his last match, and I'm sure he will try his best to do that. So yeah, I think Gunther, like you said, he does have a lot to gain from this one. Obviously, he already retired Goldberg this year, looking to retire John Cena now as well. And yeah, having last match with those two guys is quite the year for Gunther. Being a world champion that year as well, is quite something. So yeah, I think it just does make sense for Gunther to win here, and Cena puts him over on his way out. And then obviously, there's that ultimate sort of accolade that he's got going forward in having retired the greatest of all time. So yeah, that just makes sense to me. The writing's on the wall. I don't really have any other thoughts about it, but I Cena's last match, it's kind of a weird moment for me because it's literally one of the two men that I saw for the very first time watching wrestling. Him and Randy Orton, like, literally was my first exposure to wrestling. So for me, it does sort of like strike as like a like having watched like almost like that generation come to an end sort of thing. Obviously, with Randy being very, here and there, sometimes appearing, sometimes not, whatever. So yeah, for one of those two to be gone now is kind of crazy to me personally. But yeah, in terms of the result, Gunther has to be for sure. Do I think it's his last match, Cena? Yeah, I think it is because I mean you have this whole entire tournament, and then obviously the year and stuff, just the title retirement tour. I think it makes sense to have it be the last match and not go back on that word. I think Cena's the kind of guy that he wants to be at a certain level when he's wrestling, and I think that he knows deep down that he can't deliver such a level anymore. So I think that just generally speaking, he has to sort of like call it a day. And I think that's why they've done the whole year thing. They've given us this, that, and the other. Has it been great all the time? No. Has it been, bad all the time? I would argue it hasn't been bad all the time. A bit of a mixed bag. So yeah, you take it how you like. It's whatever. It's this and it's that. But yeah, I do believe it will be his last match. But what about you in terms of your thoughts for this contest? General sort of like excitement levels for it being seen as last ever match. Obviously, Gunther, he's going to have quite the accolade coming from this one, but yeah, do you think Gunther's going to get the victory? I'm sure you probably do. And do you also think that it's going to be seen as last ever match?
So I think a lot of us just assume that Gunther's going to win. He's going to then brag about it for a good while to come. But looking at the other side of the outcome, John Cena to win here, I don't think is out of the realms of possibilities either. I think for whatever reason they decide Cena to win here just to kind of go out on top, right off into the sunset. Gunther could bring up a slew of excuses or something. I think that would kind of work with this character too. I don't think it would be as effective long term, but I do think I don't think it would be the end of the world if Gunther were to lose here. Obviously, Johnson is going to have that very raucous crowd behind him, so I think you know I don't know. I don't think it's as crazy as a lot of people might think for John Cena to win here, but I do think the right call is to have Gunther win and brag about that for times for a long time to come. Obviously Goldberg and John Cena, and there are plenty more options upcoming as well that he could kind of continue that new and improved or the version two of the Legend Killer, if you will. I think there's a ton they can do with that, and I think Gunther is one of the best in the business currently. So no issues with that. Essentially, my answer is no issues either way. But I do think the right choice is Gunther. So with that Saturday night main event in the books, overall four matches, pretty standard for these Saturday night main events, and I feel these events have been getting more and more interesting since we've started them. With the first couple essentially feeling like house shows, to a show like this where I am legitimately looking forward to, still a few days out. I am looking forward to Saturday. I'm looking forward to these events, even if Cena wasn't involved. But due to the aspect of the NXT TNA prospects being involved, I think just has no titles on the line as well. It just kind of makes it feel more unpredictable, and I think that's always a good thing when it comes to us as the IWC. So just one quick last question here for you, KP. How much are you looking forward to this event, and any ideas what you think will the match of the night be, and maybe to just give us a count, how many tears will be shed this Saturday at KP's house?
I dread the thought. I dread the thought about that last question. Genuinely not too sure. It's a bit of a weird moment, and I'm not sure how I'm going to react at the time. But being a massive Cena fan myself, this is quite a surreal feeling, I suppose, moment that's going to be. But yeah, I'm excited for it. The card looks really good. I think you look across the board. I would have preferred a fifth match. I think that would have been ideal. Just to have maybe like an Ethan Page against somebody on the main roster on there would have been quite nice. Or just generally speaking, just anything else. I would have liked. I would have liked a fifth match, but yeah, I understand that four is the status quo for SNMEs, and that's absolutely fine. But I think just wanting that extra one would have been great. But hopefully we do get a a solid card from those matches because they look really good. So as long as they are as good as they look on paper, then I think we're going to have a really fun evening. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting evening. I don't know how I'm going to react, but I am looking forward to it. I'm excited, but it's just like once it's all said and done sort of thing, it's going to be like it's going to be quite surreal. So seeing how sort of like it all plays out, obviously with the match itself, then like I think especially afterwards, post matches could be really interesting. We saw obviously like for Goldberg, like his family and friends or whatever in the arena, well in the ring. I think it could be something of a much larger magnitude for this one. It could be like basically the entire sort of like a locker room or whatever, coming out and sort of like giving like a big ovation. That could be something that happens. I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, I think it's going to be it's probably going to be emotional for people who probably didn't think it's going to be as well. So like you think of WWE, you think of wrestling, you think of John Cena. He's probably one of your like top three names you're going to think of. So yeah, it's going to be the end of an era, but it's going to be one that we can also look back on, and we can always think of those matches that did take place, and the fondest memories that we have of them. So it could be quite interesting for sure. But let's end it on a good one. Hopefully the match against Gunther is solid, and just generally speaking, hopefully the card is really good as well. So it looks good. Hopefully it is. What about you, Nick? In terms of your general excitement levels, your expectations, let's hear it.
Yeah, and so we've hit it, many times. I don't dub myself as a Cena guy, and I know you do. And so just seeing kind of the emotion that you've had towards this throughout this whole tour, it's always more. I feel like more of an insight, whereas I don't. Cena's not my favorite in ring, but in terms of a class act and a talent for the business, obviously he's one of the goats, and there is no arguing that everything he's done for the business and the time that he's spent with it. Yeah, I think comparatively speaking, looking at Goldberg and Cena, as you kind of alluded to, obviously Goldberg was a WCW guy, so it was never to get that huge bit. Arguably could have gotten a little more, but I think Cena is a WWE guy, through and through, for pretty much his entire career. I know he had the OVW stint, but for the most part, obviously, he is WWE guy. So yeah, I think it will be bigger and better, comparatively speaking. And yeah, I'm sure the night will be emotional, but I think for me, it'll probably be the next day, kind of waking up, or the next time I watch wrestling, on Monday or something. Now we have a Cena-less WWE. And so that'll be a pill to swallow, even for, a casual Cena fan like myself. So I can only imagine how that will be, and as you alluded to earlier, when you first got into the business, was Cena was the first guy you saw. So yeah, can imagine that definitely is tugging on those heartstrings. But yeah, in terms of the card, yeah, it looks great. I just hope we don't have as much interference as we talked about. So yeah, looking forward to this. On paper, it does look great. So with that, Saturday night's main event, John Cena's last final match. Obviously, a lot of emotion going through all of this, but yeah, what are you guys thinking? Let us know in the comments below who you thinking will come out on top, and what do you think about that Cena Gunther main event? Let us know, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well, as it helps us out tremendously. But with that, this has been the push with Nick and KP. We'll see you soon. Take care.